Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be here.
Today we're going to be looking at electric versus hydrogen cars.
Yeah.
And this is a particularly exciting one because we have this brand new analysis from Italy published this year in 2025.
Very fresh.
So very, very cutting edge.
Absolutely.
And they take a really, really interesting look at both of these technologies.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is they're using this life cycle assessment approach, or as we call it, LCA.
Okay, so LCA, we've heard that before, but just to remind everybody,
Right.
it's more than just like what comes out of the tailpipe. Right?
Exactly. It's about the full picture.
Yeah.
So from the materials that are used to build the car to how it's used to how it's ultimately disposed of.
Okay.
So we really get that full environmental picture.
So kind of like some hidden impacts that we might not think about, right?
Exactly. One of our sources said it's like judging a book by its cover if we only look at tailpipe emissions.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
And they're right.
So where are some of these hidden impacts?
Well, take battery electric vehicles, or BEVs.
Right.
A surprising 40% of their emissions comes from the battery production process.
40%?
Yeah, it's almost half.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is.
So what makes battery production so emissions heavy?
A few things. The mining of these kind of rare materials, the processing of them, it takes a lot of energy. And then the manufacturing of these batteries,
Okay.
at scale, it all adds up.
So does that mean BVs are inherently bad for the environment then?
Well, not necessarily. There are some very promising developments in battery technology that could significantly reduce these emissions.
Interesting.
And our sources point to things like LFP batteries and solid-state batteries.
LFP, I've been seeing those around.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of buzz.
Are they as good though?
Well, that's the trade-off right now. They tend to have a lower energy density.
So less range.
Yeah, less range, but they are cheaper to produce and they have a better safety profile. And then you've got solid-state batteries, and they offer the potential for both high energy density and reduced emissions.
Wow, that sounds promising.
It does, but they're still in very early stages of development.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
kind of a waiting game.
it is.
Let's see what comes out on top.
Absolutely.
Now, what about hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles, or FCEVs as we call them?
Right.
What's their production footprint like?
Well, they face their own challenges. Their fuel cells rely on platinum, which is a precious metal, and it has significant environmental impacts during extraction.
So not off to a great start.
Not a great start.
But what about the fuel itself? I mean, hydrogen, isn't that supposed to be clean?
It depends. About 95% of the hydrogen produced today is what's called gray hydrogen.
Gray hydrogen, what is that?
It's derived from fossil fuels,
Oh,
usually natural gas.
so not so clean then.
Not so clean. Using gray hydrogen in an FCEV pretty much negates a lot of those environmental benefits.
Okay.
The emissions just get shifted upstream to the hydrogen production.
So it's not really a clean fuel unless it's made in a clean way.
Exactly. And this raises that really important question. How much can we rely on a technology that's dependent on a fuel source that's currently so problematic?
All right, so we've got BEVs with the battery issues,
Right.
and then we've got FCEVs with this gray hydrogen.
Stuck with the gray hydrogen.
Let's move on to efficiency. I know you tech folks call this tank-to-wheel efficiency.
Right.
So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so basically, how efficiently does the vehicle use the energy that's stored on board to actually move the wheels?
Gotcha.
And there's a pretty stark contrast here. So BEVs boast an impressive 75 to 80% efficiency.
Wow.
Yeah, meaning they convert that much of the energy stored in the battery to motion.
So only like 20–25% is wasted?
It is.
That's pretty good.
Especially compared to FCEVs, which only manage about 25 to 35% efficiency.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Why is there such a difference?
Well, it comes down to the multiple energy conversion steps involved.
Oh, okay.
So you lose energy at each stage. You produce the hydrogens, you have to compress it, store it, convert it back to electricity in the fuel cell, and then finally power the motor.
So it's kind of like a leaky bucket.
It is.
You start off with all this energy, and by the time it gets to the wheels,
You've lost a lot.
you've lost a lot.
Along the way.
Yeah. And those losses factor into that overall environmental impact, right?
Absolutely they do, and we'll get into that next.
Okay.
But first, I'm curious, now knowing what you know about these production challenges, are you surprised at all by these efficiency numbers?
I think I am a little bit. I always thought hydrogen was supposed to be like the miracle fuel
Right.
of the future,
Yeah,
but it seems like there's some pretty significant hurdles to overcome.
there certainly are, but that doesn't mean it's game over for hydrogen.
Okay.
Let's see what the emissions data tells us.
Okay, let's find out.
Welcome back.
So now I'm kind of nervous to actually see what those emissions numbers look like.
Right.
Now that we know there's such a gap in the efficiency.
Yeah, what do you think it's going to look like?
Honestly, I think BVs might have a slight edge.
Okay, let's see.
Just because of the efficiency gap?
Well, this Italian analysis looked at average CO2 emissions per kilometer driven,
Okay.
and the numbers are pretty revealing.
All right, hit me with it.
So for BEVs, we're looking at emissions that range from about 50 to 80 grams of CO2 per kilometer.
Okay, not bad, not bad.
Not bad.
Especially if that's factoring in the production
Right.
of the battery.
Exactly. Now, what about FCEVs running on that gray hydrogen?
Oh boy, here we go.
So remember we talked about those upstream emissions?
Right.
Well, those FCEVs have emissions between 200 and 300 grams of CO2 per kilometer.
Wow, that's almost as bad as like a gas car.
Yeah, it kind of is. It really highlights the importance of that hydrogen source.
Right.
And this analysis also looked at FCEVs that run on green hydrogen.
Okay, so this is like the best case scenario.
It's the best case scenario.
For FCEVs.
For FCEVs, yeah, green hydrogen.
What do the numbers look like there?
Well, with green hydrogen, they can achieve emissions as low as 50 grams of CO2 per kilometer, sometimes even less.
Oh, wow. So that's a dramatic difference
It is dramatic.
between the gray and the green.
Really is.
Okay, so green hydrogen really is the key to unlocking the environmental potential
It seems so.
of FCEVs.
However, there's a catch. Green hydrogen is still very expensive to produce, and production capacity is limited.
Oh, so it's like a chicken and egg thing.
It is.
We need the green hydrogen to make the cars good,
Right.
but we need more demand for the cars to make the green hydrogen.
Exactly. It's a puzzle.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
But speaking of challenges, let's talk about another big one, infrastructure.
Yes. How easy is it to fuel up these vehicles?
Right, because at the end of the day,
Right.
that's what matters.
Exactly. I mean, charging infrastructure is getting better for BVs.
It is.
But is it good enough yet?
Well, it's getting there, but there are still some limitations, particularly charging time.
Okay.
Even with fast chargers, it can take a while to fully charge a BV,
Yeah,
especially compared to filling up a gas tank.
right. And range anxiety is still a thing
For a lot of people, it is.
for a lot of people.
So what about hydrogen refueling stations? Are they as common as gas stations?
I'm going to guess no.
No, not even close. The lack of hydrogen refueling infrastructure is a major barrier to FCV adoption.
I mean, that makes sense. It seems like a huge undertaking to
It is.
build out all that infrastructure.
It is a huge undertaking.
Right.
There are far fewer hydrogen stations compared to charging stations.
Right.
Which makes it difficult for people to just fuel their vehicles conveniently.
So in terms of like everyday use, it seems like in 2025,
Yeah,
BVs have a clear advantage.
I think so.
But before we hand them the trophy,
Right.
like what happens to all those batteries?
Right. What happens to all the batteries, all the fuel cell components?
Yeah.
It's a big question and a crucial one when we think about the environment and sustainability.
Yeah.
So for BVs, there's a growing focus on recycling those batteries.
Okay.
Recovering those valuable materials like lithium, nickel, cobalt.
So we're not just tossing them in a landfill.
No, definitely not. Recycling is key. It reduces waste, and it also lessens the need to mine virgin materials,
Good.
which further reduces that environmental footprint.
So that's good news for BEVs. Are FCEV components recyclable?
So platinum is highly recyclable.
Okay.
But the challenge is that the recycling infrastructure for FCEVs is still in its infancy,
Okay.
especially compared to BVs.
So BVs win again on the end of life.
It seems so.
Okay. Before we wrap up this part, I want to tackle a question that I hear a lot.
Okay.
What if the electricity used to charge my BEV comes from dirty sources like coal?
Right.
Does that negate the environmental benefits?
That's a great question, and it's one worth exploring. It is true that the environmental impact of a BEV is influenced by how that electricity is generated.
Uh-huh.
However, even if your electricity comes from a less than ideal mix of sources, EVs still have a lower overall carbon footprint compared to gasoline or diesel cars.
Really, even with like the emissions from power generation?
Yes, because electric motors are just much more efficient at converting that energy to motion.
Okay.
So even if the electricity source isn't perfectly clean,
Yeah.
you're still getting more mileage, so to speak,
Interesting.
out of that energy.
So even if I live in like a coal-heavy grid area, it's still better to drive an electric car than a gas car?
According to this analysis, yes, and as the grid continues to get cleaner,
Yeah.
with more renewable energy sources coming online, the environmental benefits of BEVs will only increase.
That's good.
It is good news.
So we've covered a lot here.
We have
Production efficiency emissions,
infrastructure,
end of life.
end of life.
What's the big takeaway from all of this?
I think the takeaway is there's no easy answer, no clear winner in this race. Both BEVs and FCEVs have their strengths and weaknesses, and their environmental impact is influenced by a lot of different factors.
So it's not just as simple as electric good, hydrogen bad,
It's not that simple.
or vice versa.
No, it's about understanding all the nuances
Yeah.
and looking at the bigger picture.
All right, so let's zoom out, look at the bigger picture. What does the future hold
Right.
for these competing technologies?
Well, that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to delve into the 2025 verdict, and we'll do a little crystal ball gazing
I like it.
about the future of electric versus hydrogen cars.
Okay, so we're back for the final round of our BEV versus FCEV showdown.
It's time for the 2025 verdict.
Drum roll, please.
All right.
Which technology comes out on top?
Well, based on this analysis, it's battery electric vehicles
PEVs.
taking the lead in 2025.
Not a huge surprise.
Not a huge surprise given what we've talked about.
But let's recap. Why?
Right.
Why are BEVs winning right now?
Well, first, their efficiency is significantly higher than FCEVs. They're simply better at turning energy into motion.
Yeah, those tank-to-wheel numbers don't lie.
They don't, and that efficiency translates into lower running costs for drivers and, of course, lower overall environmental impact.
And they are more affordable right now, right?
Yeah, BEVs are generally more affordable than FCEVs, making them accessible to a wider range of buyers.
And that probably has to do with the fact that the technology has had a little bit more time to mature.
Right, it's had more time to mature, those economies of scale are kicking in.
And we can't forget about infrastructure.
We can't.
The charging network for BEVs, while still a work in progress, is miles ahead of hydrogen refueling.
It is, so in 2025, for most people, BEVs are just a more practical choice.
But hold on.
Yeah.
This is just a snapshot in time.
It is. Technology is constantly evolving. The future is never settled.
So do FCVs have any hope
They absolutely do.
of catching up?
Especially those powered by green hydrogen, FCEVs have the potential to be major players in the long run.
All right, so green hydrogen is kind of the holy grail for FCEVs.
It seems so.
But right now, it's expensive and limited.
True. But if those challenges can be overcome, FCEVs offer some unique advantages.
Convince me.
Okay, well, for one, they can refuel much faster than BEVs. We're talking just a few minutes to fill up a tank with hydrogen.
Okay, see, that's appealing.
It is appealing.
No more long charging stops.
No more long stops, and because hydrogen is so much lighter than batteries, FCEVs could be ideal for heavy-duty applications like trucking and long-distance transport.
So maybe like niche applications where BEVs might struggle.
Exactly, and we haven't even talked about hydrogen's potential role in the wider energy system.
Beyond transportation.
Beyond transportation, hydrogen can be used to store energy from renewable sources like solar and wind power.
Wow.
And to even power homes and industries.
So it could be like this multi-purpose energy carrier.
It could.
Helping us move away from fossil fuels.
Precisely. But to realize this potential, we need significant investments in research and development and, of course, infrastructure.
And of course, we need to figure out this green hydrogen situation.
We do. We need breakthroughs in green hydrogen production to make it more affordable and scalable.
And more hydrogen refueling stations.
A lot more.
Yeah.
So the future of FCEVs really hinges on overcoming these challenges.
Uh-huh.
But if we can clear those hurdles, they could be a game changer for a cleaner, more sustainable transportation system.
That is so interesting.
It is.
I love these deep dives.
Me too.
Because it's not about choosing a winner
Right.
or a loser. It's about understanding
The complexities.
and the possibilities.
Absolutely. It's about having these informed discussions and really exploring all of our options as we move towards a more sustainable future.
And speaking of informed discussions, we want to hear from you, our listeners.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the BEV versus FCEV debate? Which technology do you think holds more promise for the future and why?
Leave a comment below.
Tell us what you think.
Let's have a conversation.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of science and technology.